Hello, everyone. Welcome to Software's webinar this morning on using RoadEng, our road design tool, to design rural infrastructure. In this webinar, we'll be demonstrating the use of RoadEng, a highly interactive civil design software tool for engineering rural infrastructure projects, including roads, site plans, bridge sites, and culverts. A few pieces of housekeeping items that we have going on, which will include, first, please ask questions and engage with us through the Q&A section of the GoToWebinar panel. You'll probably be able to notice it quite easily. We'll be addressing all your questions at the end of the webinar. So please do save your question. Please just write down your questions as needed, and we'll come back to you at the end of the webinar. Secondly, the webinar is being recorded and will be available on Softtree's YouTube channel page. If you've already registered for the webinar, then you will be receiving an email link that includes the recording of the webinar video. And lastly, Lastly, we hope everyone stay healthy during the COVID-19 outbreak, wherever you are in the part of the world. Okay, so before I pass on my before I pass on the pass on the demonstration part to our support engineer Emmanuel, I'm just going to quickly show you what's on the agenda today. Okay, so Emmanuel, our applications engineer, will be demonstrating, starting with how to import a project's total station data to showing you how a road realignment gets done, updating the template to include retaining wall components, which will be part of your bridge site design. We'll definitely address how a culvert gets designed, and we'll go through how you can calculate your earthworks quantities in the software. And finally, we'll quickly create an output sheet in RoadEng's intuitive multiply report builder. And without further ado, I will now pass over my screen to Emmanuel. Hi, Emmanuel. We can see your screen.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Emmanuel, and in this webinar, we're gonna show you how you can use RoadEng to design your road projects. So first, thank you for coming to our presentation today. Let's start with the data that we got from a total station. Yeah, here is the file. We have the notepad file, and we could see that that's a comma separated file. We have coordinates X, Y, and Z, and also the point code and point numbers. That's the normal format that usually we get from the surveyor by using the total station instrument. So I already checked the file, and I created a format, and a special ASCII format for this file. So I'm going to open this file in train module version 9. Let's change file to all supported files, and here is the ASCII file that I just opened on my screen. Let's open this file. Yeah, here is the specific format that I created for this presentation. Yeah, in the import options dialog box, we have different tabs. The first one is the structure. As I mentioned earlier, the X, Y, and Z are second, third, and fourth columns. in the file, and we have also the comment, point code, and point number. Because the file was comma separated, I use tab or comma for delimiters, and also we have X and Y for the coordinates. I go to code tab, and because we have similar codes for points in the ASCII file, it's always a good idea to use specific code names, and then we can use these tools to uh, connect these points together and, for example, create a break line. So I already checked these codes. We can also load and open the ASCII files and then edit the code names. For example, for this one, that's R asterisk means that for all of the codes that we have R, uh, we have this option to create a polyline, connect all of these codes, and also here we can change the color and symbol of these points. We can also change the format and also the color and symbol for other codes. It's very usual. It's very useful when we want to actually make things seamless. Let's go to Test tab. It's possible to check the data that are going to be imported into the software to make sure that all coordinates X and Y, Z are correct. And then I go to Selection tab. This tab is basically defined for point cloud data, and right now, because we are working with ASCII files, I'm not going to talk about it. And for the projection, because this data is from a total station data and that has not been shifted to a real coordinate system, so I'm going to use undefined projection, and because I already checked the unit, I know that the unit should be imperial. It's based on foot. So yeah, let's click OK. There's a prompt on the screen that incoming coordinate system and units are undefined, and I know that. So I click on the Continue tab, and yeah, here is the points and lines that we have in the project. As you see, these lines are defined as break lines. So there's no need to change anything here. We already create a break line by using the previous tools that I mentioned before. Let's check the 3D view of the project. Yeah, here is the 3D, and we can see that we have a normal situation. There is a road here, and we can see that there are some washout here. Seems we have some problems here, so probably for the central line of the road, we could change the location a little bit to make sure that we could skip this washout. Yeah, here is the 3D view. For next step, I'm gonna create a teen model. I go to Train Modeling tab and click on the Generate button. For the maximum site length, I think to have a nice teen model, it's better to change it to 100. And then I'm gonna keep the major contours to 25 and also minor contours to 5. So let's do not change anything else and just click OK. Yeah, here is the 3D shape of the road. We can see that we do not have a center line. And we have also the contours, and again we can see the washout here on the road. So yeah, this is for the train module. Let's save as this file as a train file. I'm gonna save it as a TRX file. I call it project 1. And then I want to open the location module, the module that is specifically designed for road projects. Okay, this is the location module. I want to open a new file, and you can see that we can directly use a train file as a base file for our project. So I'm going to use the file that I just created, but you can see that land XML and DWG file also could be imported. So I'm going to use this file, project 1, and yeah, here is the TRX file. Location model is able to recognize the center line of the route to use it as an alignment. But right now, because as I mentioned before, we do not have a center line, so I'm gonna draw the alignment myself. So I use the center of the train option here, and then I want to use the default template. And I just click on the finish button. Okay, so we have the plan. We have also the data window. I want to also add the profile window here. And I want to have all of these three windows on the screen. So we have the plan here. Let's start drawing the alignment. So I right click on the screen and select add edit IP tool. So you can see that just by clicking on the screen, I can start designing the center line of the road. Of course, for each project, we could have different insertion points, but this is just an example to draw the center line for this project. Yeah, there you go. We have a center line. And of course, we want to have some horizontal curves for the horizontal profile. So I go to horizontal curves tab and select one of these IPs, and let's change the maximum speed, I mean the design speed, to 30 mile per hour, so I can use this for the creating the curves. So I use 30 as a design speed for the project, and then when I select one of these IPs, I can go to get default curve, and here I can select between spiral, not curve, and curve. Let's select curve, and I want to use the minimum radius. So it seems that I should change a little bit the location of these points to be able to use, yeah, I think right now is good. We can use the minimum radius, and also the design speed is 30. I click on the apply button, and now we have the beginning and end of the curve and also the radius. Again, for other IPs, it's possible to add some horizontal curves. I'm going to add curves also for other horizontal, for other IPs. Yeah, there you go. Let's just change a little this IP points. Yeah, and you can see that automatically the location model will match the existing horizontal curves on the screen. Yeah, right now we can see that all horizontal alignment is finished. Suppose that we don't want to add any other curve for the IPs. I want to go to profile window, and again I right click on the screen and select add edit button. I want to draw a profile window also for the project. So we can see that just by using these 2 points, I want to have a very simple longitudinal profile, and of course I can change the scale, the vertical and horizontal scale here to have a better understanding of the longitudinal profile. So we have the profile, we have the mass hole, and also the plan. So for next step, let's go to the template editor window, because right now we do not have a cross-section, a correct cross-section. That's the default cross-section that provided by the location module. So I go to template editor bottom. We can see that right now the default template is used as a template. So because I want to use some components that we already created in the e-library, I click on the e-library, select all of these templates, and click OK to make sure that I have, I think for this one, because I have this one, I'm not going to overwrite this one. Okay, so we have all of these available template and components in our window. Yeah, here is the default template. I want to start creating a template entirely, so I right-click and select template and click on the template button. I call it webinar road. Yeah, I call it and let's select -2 and 2 for both sides, for left and right side of the Chrome. I click on the OK button. Yeah, here we have a template, but still we do not have any components for that. So I want to use the existing components. Let's, for this one, use the, yeah, I think for this one, the road components was not complete. So for this one, I'm going to use the road explicit width left, because I don't want to have basically a shoulder in this road. So I just right click and select copy, and here I select on the WEBR template and paste it as a new. To change the parameters, I go to properties, and here I'm going to change the ACP width, for example, to 10, and also let's change the SG width to 13. It shows the thickness of the layer below the first layer. And for the ACP thick, I want to change it to 3 inches, that is equal to 0.25 feet, and also for the next one as well. And let's also change the sub-base thick, for example, to 0.5. So right now the left side of the road is complete because I want to have a symmetrical road. So I just copy this component and then paste it on the right side. So there's no need to change the properties of the right side anymore. And also another thing that I want to add to this template is a ditch components. I'm gonna overwrite the ditch components here, and I want to just use the standard format. Again, I copy this component and paste it here as a new on the left side, and I go to properties to check the defaults that are already defined. Let's keep the be ditch exclude to 0. I'm going to change the next one, the ditch depth to, for example, to 1. I don't want to have a deep ditch. And for the slope, let's change the slope to 3 to 1. And also for the width, let's change it to 1. And yeah, and I don't want to change the ditch bottom. Let's click OK. And again, I just copy and paste it on the right to have a completely symmetrical template. And the last thing is the slope components. I just want to make sure again that the slope components are completely overwrite. Yeah, let's again use the standard format. I copy this component and paste it as a new component on the left side. Go to properties, and for the first two, I want to change the value to auto. And let's keep the cut and fill defaults. Yeah, here is for the left side. Again, I copy and paste it to use it on the right side. Yeah, here is the template. If I want to see the if I want to check how it behaves in different situations when we have cut and fill, I just change the location. So I'm going to click OK to see what happens on the screen. Yeah. Right now the template is created. I want to assign it. Here is the template that I just created, WEBR, and I want to assign it to the whole road. Don't forget to click on the Add Edit button, and then I click on the OK button. Yeah, here is the assign template. So we have this template into the in the project. For next step, I want to check the ground types because seems the fill slope is a little high. Right now, the default ground type is OB overburden because I already checked the location of the project and seems we have fractured rock. So I prefer to use this one, and let's keep the slope for the cut, but I want to change the slope for the fill to 1.5 to 1, and I click OK. Again, if I go to assign by top, by assign by range, in the sub-horizons tab, it's possible to change the ground type. I'm going to select fractured rock. I click OK, and again, I click on the Add Edit button, and then we can see that, yeah, the slope is a little changed from the previous situation. But seems, especially for these parts that we have a washout, we are actually spilling out to the other road, maybe in this part. So it's better to add some walls here. For example, if we could add a retaining wall here, we can prevent this spilling out to that side. So again, I'll go to template, editor, window, and because this is the base template that I just created, I'm going to use this template, and I just want to use it to have another template. So I want to copy it and again paste it as a new. So here we have a completely similar template. Let's first change the name. I'm going to change it to WE, that's a webinar wall. but this time I want to change it to wall. So this template could be used for those parts that we want to have a retaining wall or a wall on one side of the road. So I click OK button, and right now I don't want to have the ditch anymore. So I'm going to delete these two components, and instead of ditch I want to add a uh, component in the wall. I think again I should override the components in the wall here. Let's use this one, that's gabion fill. I copy this component and then paste it on the left. And yeah, if I go to properties again, it's possible to change different parameters here. I think it's good to change the block width from 2 to, I think 2.5 would be good. And for the block height, I think if we change it again to 2.5, we will have a better presentation for that. And right now I'm not going to use any offset, so let's change it to 0. And for the slope, let's change 15 to 10 to have a better slope. And I click OK again. And because I want to have a symmetrical road, again I copy and paste it as a new on the right side. And to see the to understand how it behaves, we can move the template above and below the existing ground. So when we have above the existing ground, we can see that on both sides we have the gabion walls. So the new template is created. Let's click OK. And first I want to check for which stations I should add this template. Let's change the start station to 0 to have a better numbers. Yeah, I think it's good to have this template from station 174 to 105. So I go to Home tab, and in the Assign by Range, again in the templates, it's possible to add the new template in a specific stations. So from station 105 to 175, I'm going to add the new template. And you can see that from station 0 to 105, we still have the previous template, but between these two stations, we have the new template. And because the direction of the alignment is from right to left, so we want to have the gabions on the right side. So for this one, I want to select right, and I click OK. Yeah. So here the new template is assigned. Let's go to 3D and see the 3D shape of the project here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, here is the road. We can see that. For first part and last part of the road, because the slope stakes is not in the survey area, it's good to define a bridge template. That's an empty template that we do not have any cut and fill. It could be useful for those parts that we do not have any survey data. So I think from station 0 to station 50, and then from station 292 to station 250, it's good to have a breach template, an empty template. So again, I go to assign parameters by range, and this time I want to use the first template, breach template, that is from station 0 to 50, and then let's double check the station numbers. That was from station 250 to 292. So I go to assign by range again, and this time from 250 to the end, I'm going to use the breach template. So I click OK, and yeah, we can see that the blue lines shows the active parts of the road, and before and after that we defined a breach template, and we do not have any cut and fill volume. So yeah, let's go to a station close to the washout. Right now we already created the templates. We have two types of templates, but here we know that there is a waterway here, so it's good to have a culvert in this part. To create a culvert, I click on the culvert button here. Before that, I'm going to select the before that I'm going to create an IP here. So while this IP is selected, I'm going to add a culvert. The station is automatically brought by the location module here, and I want to define it as a natural channel. So I select natural channel and then click on the OK button. Here we can see that different types of vertical position could be defined for this culvert. Let's select attach to upper ditch, and I want to select semi-auto. Let's click the apply button. Right now the left and right side of the culvert is manually defined by the user, but I'm going to change it to auto, so we can see that the location module automatically extends the length of the culvert to reach the slope stakes. And another thing is that it's possible to easily rotate it. So I'm going to rotate it, for example, to 110. So we can see that on the section window that we have the culvert in the section. This is the blue line on the screen. So I unselect auto, and for the right side I'm going to change, for example, 16.65 to 24. I click on the apply button, and you can see that it's possible to change the length. Again, I think 24 is a little high, so let's change it to 20. Yeah, here is the culvert that normally we want to pass the gabions. And also for the left side, it's possible to go to properties and define a sump. And also if you want to change the diameter of the pipe, you can change it, for example, from 7 to 10 inches. I'm going to add a sump. Let's have 20 for the V's, and also for the depth I'm going to type 5, and also for the offset let's use I don't know, 20, and also for the template tapper let's type 12. Could be probably a good size for each sum. Yeah, we can see that the culvert is has reached the ditch on the left side. So right now the culvert is defined. So for next step, I'm gonna add some data tables. So for example, for the total cut and fill volume for different stations, it's possible to add the cut and fill area or volumes between different stations to calculate the total volume and also to calculate the total cost of the project. So I open the data window, click on the data options, and here it's possible to add different parameters in the data window. Let's first remove these items. I'm going to add these two parameters from the area section and also for the volume general. Let's also add the cut and fill volumes. And for the points, let's also add the plan points. So, yeah, there you go. For different stations, we have the cut and fill area and volumes. This could be one data window. Another one could be, for example, for culverts. If we want to have data for culverts, again, it's possible to create a new data window. And here, yeah, I right click on the screen and again select options. And here I want to add data for a culvert, for example, culvert diameter and culvert length, and let's remove other parameters. And I just want to have it on the culvert insertion points because we have just one culvert. And of course, you can have another data window for some other parameters, like, for example, for different designing parameters, like the uh, the width of the road, for example, or uh, the width of the ditch. Here we have a ditch. Let's add the uh, ditch DL and DR and also the uh, these three items. And of course, we want to have the L station, the beginning. Yeah. So as you see, different parameters could be defined in the data windows. But for the next step, let's see how we can use all of these designs in the output and how we can prepare drawings. So I go to Multiply tab, and here we can see that we have a book layout, and then we have a chapter and different pages could be in a chapter. I already created a book layout for this webinar. Here is this book layout that was for rural road that I created according to our project. Yeah, there you go. As you see, there is a book layout and we could have different chapters. The first one is for sections. We could see different sections in the screen. For first parts, because I already defined bridge template, so we do not have anything. We actually have just the existing ground, and because we do not have cut and fill volume, so it couldn't be very important for us. But for other sections, we can see that uh, we have the sections here. Of course, it's possible to double click on the screen and change the horizontal and vertical scale. For example, I'm going to change it to 220, 220. And you can see that automatically the scale will be changed in all pages in this chapter. I can go to also the pagination button, and for just specific stations have these sections. So for example, from station 50 to station 100, I want to have these sections, and you can see that right now we have just 3 pages. And on the right side, we have the gabions. These are those areas that we could see washout on the right side of the road. And again, for the plan and profile, I already created a sample drawing. You can see that we have the plan and also the longitudinal profile here. It's possible to add one or more data tables on the right side. Again, I can change the scale of the plan here. Suppose that I want to change 600 to 700, and you can see that easily you can change it to different scales. It can also be for the longitudinal profile. I already checked the scale. I think uh, the best vertical scale is 100 and horizontal scale is 200. So let's keep these two parameters. And of course, if you want to add some nodes on the right side, you can right click on the screen and add a rectangular, and then you can add some nodes. Or if you want to change the logo of your company or specify some items in the project, you can add these data on a specific page, or you can add all of them in one chapter. Yeah, this was a very short presentation to show you how you can use RoadEng to design your rural roads. So if there is any question, I'm ready to answer.
Yes, thank you very much, Emmanuel. That was a great presentation. So we do have a couple of questions that came in. The first one was, is it possible to export the design that you just made to a PDF document?
Yeah, actually that's a very good question. Basically, we want to have PDFs as a type of file that could be useful. So first I'm going to check the size of the page. It's size B, and then I go to print setup, and here you can see that I already used the Qt PDF writer, but of course you can change your printer among the existing printers that you have. And for the size, don't forget to use the ArcB. This could be, the size of the paper should be exactly the size that is defined in the multiply tab. And because the orientation is landscape, I'm going to change this one, and I click OK. And if I want to print it, again, I go to File, Print, and then here I can start printing by choosing the printer and setting the other options.
Okay, thanks for that. The next question that we have is, can you easily adjust the alignment's elevation?
Yeah, of course. If I go to Profile window, you can see that, again, I can right-click on the screen and select Add Edit IP button. It's possible to change the coordinates by mouse. So I go to vertical curves here. I can see the station and elevation on the right side. And it's possible again to change these numbers. For example, suppose that I want to change the station to 74. And I want to change the elevation from 2,756 to 2,760. And when I click on the apply button, you can see that the elevation of the IP is changed. So we have two options. We can change the location of the IPs by mouse, or you can use keyboard and use the vertical curves box to change the IP locations.
Okay, sounds good. And I think this is the last question we'll read out before we exit the system. But can attendees receive the certificate for attending the webinar?
Yeah, sure. Those attendees that have already registered for the webinar will receive a certificate from Software Technical Systems company.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, there's hand raised for 4 minutes. Oh, we have an attendee who raised his hand for 5 minutes here. He may have a question. Sorry, yes. So we have an attendee who's who has a question who's wanting to ask a question. Yes, please go ahead and please do type in your question in the chat panel. Okay, sounds like you're listening to us, so it's a good sign. Please go ahead. And while we're waiting for this question to come in, to everyone else, thank you very much for joining today's webinar. And if you have any separate questions, whether it's technical or general about how Softree's licensings work or what prices they are, please do feel free to just send us an email to Softree's general email address that you've been told about. Oh, okay, so the question came in. Can road class specifications be altered? Each country
Yeah,
has different specifications.
yeah, of course. Here in the horizontal curves, I can go to road class specification, and you can see that different parameters could be defined here. For example, maximum and minimum grade, high, design speed, and other parameters. But for super elevation or widening, usually different countries have different standards. So for example, for super elevation, I just click on this item, and here our numbers are calculated based on AASHTO. So you can see that the first column is the radius, the first row is design speed, and the other numbers are the super elevation value. Of course, you can calculate these two parameters based on your standards, and then just save as your file as a notepad file or as a text file, and then you can open your file here as a text file and use it for your project.
And as part of the road class specifications in manual, do they include IP and tangent parameters?
For IP and tangent parameters, we have also another we have also some other tools in the RoadEng. So we have optimization module, and it's possible to define different vertical profiles, and these longitudinal profiles could be based on different parameters. If we want to have a tangents between curves, it's possible to define them, and if for some longitudinal profiles we do not want to have any tangents, it's possible to just define the profile just based on the existing curves. So yeah, we have 5 available options based on your standards and your design criteria. You can choose among these options.
Okay, that sounds good. In any case, if we haven't answered your question 100% clear, then we'll make sure that we'll address that part later on by email. We do have a few more questions, and then I guess we'll just wrap up here. Emmanuel, the next question is it possible to export shape files with design?
Yes. For example, in the train module, if I go to File and click on the Save button, I can see here different types of file that could be exported from the train module, and one of them are ArcView shape or shape files. So yeah, basically RoadEng software is a pretty flexible software, and different types of file could be imported and also exported from this module.
And I think from that drop-down list that you just showed, I'm not sure if InfraWorks software is from Autodesk. I'm not too sure, but there's a question who's asking about if our software is compatible with InfraWorks software.
What is the format of the file provided by this software?
Yes, so attendee number 51, could you please name the name of the software that you're asking?
And also the format of the file that they have.
Okay, I guess sorry, we're doing a little bit, we're going over time a little bit here, so I guess we'll make sure to answer your question by email. Emmanuel, do we have time to answer one last question, or should we wrap it up for the day and just try to answer all the questions by email?
Yeah, I think if we could maybe we could answer questions by email better and more clearly.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's do that then. Okay, well, we really appreciate everyone's time for joining us for today's webinar, and hope you guys have a great day. It's getting a little bit late night here in Canada, so sorry we have to exit our doors, but please do join us next time in our second webinar for Asian fans that we have. Bye now.